The easy thing would be to build a brand new theater right across the street. But that's not what we're going to do here. We know we have something special in the Morris. Adding on to it, adding these kind of comforts and new audience amenities, I think is going to make this place even more special than it is today. I'm fortunate enough to be in and out of the Morris frequently. In a way, this is where I work. It's my office some days. But I never take for granted the kind of grandeur of the space. You walk in and it's overwhelming. You can't help but be kind of captured by the awe of the gold and they don't build buildings like this anymore.
This building is just so spectacular. No matter how many times you come in, you can't help but feel that little rush of excitement that, oh, this is going to be another special night.
There's an outfit called Polestar that literally ranks all the theaters throughout the world. The Morris ranks 75th in the world. When you narrow that list down to theaters that are 100 years old or almost 100 years old, we're in the top 5.
Harry Houdini was on this stage. Frank Sinatra was on this stage. Right, Betty Davis, you know, just incredible to think about the acts that have come through this stage, and it's the same exact stage that's there yet today, 100 years later. Jacob Handelsman built both the Palace Theater, which is now the Morris, and the Blackstone Theater, which is now the State. He said at that point in time that these palaces of amusement will be known as some of the best in the United States. And that's the whole idea of the next 100-year campaign, that we're going to restore this theater with the modern amenities and comfort features that are expected by crowds yet today. We're certainly aware that the theater, especially an old historic building like this, doesn't feel accessible to everyone.
I did not go to the theater when I was young. I was not exposed to theater till later on in life.
Our Equity and Arts Initiative has a really great committee around it that have been holding community meetings and asking the question, if you don't come to the Morris, why not?
We wanted to meet people out in the community exactly where they are. A lot of good feedback. We went on tours, solicited information. We went to African American churches to say, hey, what do you think about the arts in the city of South Bend? What does that look like?
That's the kind of rewarding part of having these community conversations. You might hear some tough truths, but the reason we're asking those is so we can correct them. What I've come to realize is that the emotional connection that exists with places here in our community is super strong. People believe in this place. And if you create things that people enjoy, they want to see more of that.
You know, I spent my whole career in business. So I give people the big picture. I tell them there's going to be 3 phases to this project. Phase 1, just really the Morris itself and all the things that we need to do now, today, like this year. The original concrete floor is falling apart. We have to install new air systems, new cleaning systems. We have to replace all the seating.
You'll experience just a little bit more breathing room in the building, a little bit more accessibility. You'll have a little bit more comfort in your seats. We are making the seats a little wider, a little bit more room between the aisles. We're going to have cup holders so your beverage doesn't have to be put on the floor and kicked over. We're also going to have quite a bit of just features that you may not notice right at first blush. Things like our maintenance endowment that helps ensure this building is well taken care of and it never falls into a position that it was back in the 60s where someone's thinking about tearing it down.
Phase 2 we hope will start next year. Can you imagine being able to pull in, particularly in the winter, never go outside and walk into the Morris? The third phase, which will begin in 2024, is to reimagine the entire outdoor space in front of the Morris. That plaza can be just magnificent.
A lot of times the people I'm talking to are more interested in the aesthetics. You know, the colors of the seats, the colors of the carpeting may change and things like that. I often spend a lot of time saying all of this beautiful art, ornate work on the walls and the ceilings is not going to be touched.
So we held an event at Harrison School.
Yep.
We had Aaron Perry come out and talk about, you know, he gave the history on the Morris. He also showed renderings of what the Morris could be and what it's going to look like. We had them go around and put sticky notes up about what they thought about the current Morris and what they thought about the renderings and what was missing. They said it felt old, it felt stale, and that made it not welcoming. So we were like, well, what would make it welcoming? Well, seeing young people. So one of the things that came out of that was an internship that we would start in a collaboration with some of the ushers, and they could teach them.
If we get to one kid who otherwise would never have had access to the theater, would never have dreamed of performing on a stage like this, if we can get one kid like that, oh man.
I think it is so important and critical to fund this initiative because communities cannot do it alone. Governments can't do it alone. Great communities have others that see the big picture and pitch in.
I mean, it's the city we love. It's the opportunity for people in the future to be able to come and enjoy it as we have, little tiny kids to people our age and older.
Much like Jacob Handelsman visited here and thought about what could be, it's fun to have those conversations. What would it look like if, or could you imagine, or I saw XYZ in such and such city. There are so many generous people in this community, and you have enough of those conversations. It's not fundraising anymore. The dollars are a critical part of these projects. They really are. These projects don't happen without money and the community support. They're helping create the type of city they want to live in, and they want their children to live in, and they want their grandchildren to live in. Jacob Handelsman, the gentleman that developed what became the Morris Performing Arts Center, it was written that he had an abiding faith in the continuous upbuilding of South Bend. And throughout this campaign and talking about the Morris 100 initiative, it's so neat to see his lasting spirit in and around other people. This community is full of people who have an abiding faith in the continuous upbuilding of South Bend.